There was a time when I was DMing a game and the players were playing as bounty hunters in a big expansive city that I had designed. But the city was made of many different districts, so the players often got distracted. You know, there was like the gnome district, the slum district, the law district, bunch of different districts. But the one that was the most interesting was the elemental district. This had a bunch of different interplanar attractions and stuff like that, so it was no surprise that eventually that the players made their way there on one of their off days. One of the things that I set up there, I did not expect them to actually go in and try. I just thought it would be something funny. But no, they went into this shop that was clearly labeled Cursed Items and began buying things. So, as they entered into the shop, they immediately see a shade elemental, someone who blends in with the shadow, come out and start talking to them about all the nice and fine items that they have on display. You see, the thing about this shop is, even though it is very clearly labeled a cursed item shop, when you get inside, the merchant will not tell you any of the downsides of the items, and you'll just have to figure those out after you buy them. So he just tries to explain the nice things about the items. I'm going to be going over some of the items that the players ended up buying, and how they did not exactly go out as they planned. The Shade Elemental walked up to them and began to give his little spiel about every item in the shop.
You there! You look like a fine, tanky gentleman. Perhaps you would like to try on the plate of etherealness. Plate armor that can make you ethereal. Or perhaps you, the ranged one, would like these boots of misty step. Boots that you put on, that once you wish to teleport anywhere you want, they will do as you're bidding. Or perhaps you, the small wizard gnome, you'd like the coin of mind reading, be able to understand what people are thinking in their most inner eyes. Or perhaps you, the bard, would like this nice party cup. It fills up with as much liquid as you want, and you can just drink as much as you'd like.
So, of course, even though this was clearly labeled a cursed item shop, they ended up buying multiple of these items. The cleric tank of the group ended up taking the plate armor of etherealness and immediately put it on. The Shade told him how to activate the armor, and he said the command word, and all of a sudden, it seemed like nothing had changed. Until someone tried to touch his armor and realized that his armor had become ethereal, and they could just reach right through it and touch him. And that means the same for daggers and knives and spells. Oh yeah, and it's stuck on him, he can't take it off. So, the party's tank basically had no armor, but he looked really cool. Our little gnome artificer picked up the coin of mind reading, only to figure out that this coin only specifically read minds when someone was saying something bad about you. So, being a tiny little hideous gnome, every time he'd walk through the streets, his mind was constantly barraged with, wow, look at that stupid little gnome. God, I hate these tiny people. Why can't they just be burned? And he was already an anxious little character at first, and this just made everything a lot worse for him. And of course, it was a cursed item, so you couldn't stop hearing the thoughts until you got the curse removed. The party cup, I mean, it is great at parties. It does fill up with liquid, and everyone within a 30-foot radius must make a charisma save or feel compelled to drink from the cup. And when they drink from the cup, it's poison. I don't know what you expected. It's cursed. It's poison. The boots of Misty Step were good. They did actually cast Misty Step. However, it was just random where you'd end up. So you could try to Misty Step across a giant endless abyss. And instead of appearing on the other side, you would just appear in the abyss and start falling to your death. There was a couple of other good ones. There was Wand of Fireballs, and you could cast it. However, you could only cast it centered on yourself. It is literally just a suicide bomber's wand, I guess. And the Checkered Cape of Resistance, where you'd pick a resistance of a certain kind of element, and you'd get that resistance. However, you'd immediately get vulnerability to, like, the opposite of that. So our player chose fire, which is a pretty common type, and so he got vulnerability to cold damage, which wouldn't normally be that bad. However, I wasn't planning for it, but the entire next boss was based around cold spells. Luckily or unluckily, that game ended up dying before they ran into that boss, so here's to you, little gnome man, forever in purgatory, slowly waiting to finally face the boss that will instantly kill you.